Welcome to Tales from College Football. This season I'll be pondering college football what-ifs, where we'll take glimpses into alternate realities and explore how the world of college football might have unfolded differently. I'm your host, Brandon Peterson. I liken some of the schools from the original Southwest Conference to alien species in the movies. They leave their own worlds, they take over new ones, they use up all of the planet's resources, then move on to the next. Now, maybe the SWC teams weren't really that diabolical, but you can't argue the fact that they seem to get favorable treatment when joining a new conference. They use it all to their advantage, and they leave those conferences worse off than they were when they first arrived. For those unfamiliar, the Southwest Conference, or SWC, was a powerhouse league that dominated the college football scene in Texas and the surrounding areas for much of the 20th century. Comprising of legendary programs like Texas, Texas A&M, Arkansas, SMU, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, Houston, and Rice, the SWC was synonymous with the big rivalries. They had passionate fan bases and their own fair share of scandals. Now, SMU is the most famous for cheating due to receiving the college football death penalty, but at one point, all but two teams in the SWC were serving NCAA sanctions. This resulted in fewer scholarships, fewer television broadcast opportunities, and less bowl games. This lack of revenue caused revenue issues for the entire SWC conference and their teams. By 1996, the conference dissolved with its teams scattering to the Big 12, the SEC, and other conferences. But what if that breakup never happened? Let's rewind to the 90s. The SWC was struggling, yeah, but it wasn't all that bad. The league talent on the field and the state of Texas was and remains one of the richest recruiting grounds in the country. So what would it have taken for the SWC to survive? And if it did, how would college football look today? So looking back at some of those biggest challenges, the biggest challenges the conference faced were financial disparity, limited television exposure, and an abundance of scandals. Imagine this alternate reality where the SWC leadership saw the writing on the wall and worked proactively to address these issues. They could have had secured their own lucrative TV deal, similar to what the SEC and Big Ten were negotiating at the time. Today we enjoy tuning in to Thursday night Maction. Think about it. Friday night SWC doubleheaders that are broadcast nationwide could have been sweet. What if the SWC could have established a stricter compliance office to curb those recruiting violations? By creating a cleaner image, the conference might have remained intact and more appealing to those broadcasters and sponsors. So the SWC survives, and then what happens? Well, for starters, recruiting dominance in Texas stays within the conference. Programs like SMU, TCU, and Houston would have all had a chance to compete on a level playing field instead of being overshadowed when they went on to smaller conferences. Instead of seeing them have inconsistent seasons of highs and lows, they would have had a foundation for more sustainable success. Baylor's another interesting thought. Without the Big 12, Baylor might never have the resurgence it enjoyed under coaches like Art Briles, Matt Rule, and Dave Aranda. And what about Texas and Texas A&M? By not moving the first time, they don't build a culture of looking for greener grass. They become stewards of a destination conference instead of rats jumping off sinking ships. Our modern day of Power 5, or let's be honest, Power 2 conferences, the talent would be spread out quite differently as with national perspectives. Big 10, SEC, and SWC, a struggling Big 8, Pac-10, and ACC will have its members looking for places at the grown-up stable, leaving the remaining teams with smaller conferences playing musical chairs. Ultimately, we would see an arms race between the SEC and the SWC. How would they win the hearts of media, fans, recruits, and most importantly, money? It'd all be on the field. With an intact and growing SWC, we wouldn't see the Cotton Bowl lose any of its prestige. This used to be a game that would rival the Rose Bowl. Its field was graced by the talents of Doug Flutie, Bo Jackson, and Tim Brown. It had everything from a 0-0 tie in the 1947 Arkansas-LSU matchup, known as the Ice Bowl, all the way to a 35-34 Notre Dame victory over Houston in the Chicken Soup Classic. Seriously, what is it with this bowl and uncharacteristically cold weather games? The Cotton Bowl has hosted legendary coaches like Bear Bryant and Darrell Royal. It was the site that determined the national champion in 1960 when Syracuse defeated Texas. In 1965, when Arkansas beat Nebraska, there was a little help with Alabama losing in the Orange Bowl that year, and more. We would see the two rival conferences, SEC and SWC, create their own alliance, similar to what the Big Ten and the Pac-8 did in the Rose Bowl, where each conference has two divisions. The division champions play for their conference championship, and the two conference championship winners will face off in the Cotton Bowl. Now, we all know the ego and the brashness of these entities would call the winner the national champion each year, to the dismay of the national polls and the other conference commissioners. This would lead to people tuning in every January 1st, watching the winners of the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl, and wondering, what if? The smaller bowl games would add fuel to the fire when we would try to rationalize Team A beating Team B in the Rose Bowl, then Team C beat Team D in the regular season, and Team D beat the winner of the Cotton Bowl back in Week 1. So what do you think? Would a modern-day Southwest Conference be the crown jewel of college football and reshape college football from the current way we see it now? Or would its regional focus have kept it from reaching the heights of today's SEC and Big Ten? Thanks for listening to Tales from College Football with your host, Brandon Peterson. Tune in every other week as new what-ifs will be discussed from our favorite sport. Be sure to reach out and share your thoughts and ideas with me on X, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok at Code Peterson. You can also check out my website, codepeterson.com.